And then it doesn't take much to also draw a link between humor and truth, because there's something in humor that's, well, first of all, often what people who are funny do is tell you a truth that no one else will state. Stand-up comics do that all the time. And then there's the idea that, you know, if you're telling a joke, you're in somehow simultaneously beneath and above contempt. Like it's a bad sign not to be able to take a joke, even at your expense. And I think the reason for that is that, you know, let's say you're about to do something important and you trip a little bit, and so you kind of lower yourself, and, you know, you laugh and other people laugh. And what you're indicating is that you can accept the fact that you're imperfect. And so what you do when you accept that fact is you simultaneously elevate yourself, because you say, well, I'm clearly the thing that can make the mistake, but I'm also clearly the thing that can recognize the mistake and put it in its proper context and transcend it simultaneously, which is exactly what someone who can take a joke does.
Which is an indication of status as opposed to the inverse. Right?
Well, it's an indication of the existence of the thing that produces status. That's that capacity for transcendence. So that's why, in some sense, the fool or the trickster is the precursor to the savior, because there's wisdom, there's real wisdom in that ability to. You think, I'm laughing at myself. It's like, that's a very strange statement. It's because you're dividing yourself into two parts there. It's the fool part, that's the thing you're laughing at, and there's the thing that's laughing. And you're privileging the thing that's laughing, and the thing that's laughing is the thing that can take the joke and move on. And people admire that, as they should, because it's an indication of your ability to transcend, well, to transcend your foolish limitations. And so it's very likely that the idea of the trickster will emerge, because the humorist is always on the cusp of between foolishness and wisdom, always. That's the right place for them. That's what stand-up comics do. You can just watch them. They're like, I saw Bill Cosby at one point in Edmonton, Alberta, 30 years ago or so, and he just came out with a cigar and sat on a stool, and he told truthful stories about his family. You know, he had a good edge on them, and certainly included himself in the joke, but people in the audience were hysterical. The guy in front of me was laughing so hard that his wife had to keep elbowing him. I thought he was going to pass out. But all he did was sit and tell insightful, satirical stories about himself and his family. You know, and people love that. And that's why comedians are sort of canaries in the coal mine. You know, there was a comedian in Quebec a year or two who was charged by the Quebec Human Rights Commission, which I thought was a very bad thing, because if you can't tolerate, it's tyrants who can't tolerate the comedian. And that's like the jester in the king's court, right? He's beneath and above contempt at the same time. He can goose the king or the queen. You don't get to cut off his head, because it's beneath you to do that. And that also means that the jester is the only person who can tell the truth. So
there's almost like an ecological role for that being in a society that is hierarchical.
Definitely, yeah. It's an indication. Well, it takes the tension out of the hierarchy. It points out the foibles of the powerful, and it simultaneously signals the existence of the thing that can transcend frailty. It's really important.